Admiral Sarah Chen stared at the quantum display floating above her desk aboard the International Space Station Artemis. The readings made no sense. A massive energy signature had just appeared at the edge of the solar system, far larger than anything humanity had ever encountered. "Commander Rodriguez, verify these readings," she ordered, her voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. The quantum detection array they'd installed last month had already proven invaluable, but this was unprecedented. "Confirmed, Admiral. Multiple objects, massive power signatures. They're heading straight for Earth." Sarah closed her eyes for a moment. After decades of searching the stars, first contact was happening on her watch. But something about this didn't feel right. The vessel's approach vector suggested deliberate intent rather than random discovery. "General broadcast on all frequencies," she commanded. "This is Admiral Sarah Chen of the Earth Defense Force. Unknown vessels. Please identify yourselves." The response came instantly, in perfect English. "This is High Commander Vex Thor of the Galactic Coalition. Your quantum detection of our arrival confirms our worst fears." Sarah's hand tightened on her desk. "Please clarify, High Commander. Your species has begun to grasp quantum mechanics at a fundamental level. The detection array that spotted us. It shouldn't be possible with your current level of development. Just as your quantum drive prototype shouldn't exist." Ice formed in Sarah's stomach. The quantum drive was Earth's most closely guarded secret, a revolutionary propulsion system that could potentially allow faster-than-light travel. How did they know? "We've been watching, Admiral Chen. Watching and waiting, hoping your species would develop along acceptable lines. But you've advanced too quickly, too recklessly. The quantum drive you're testing violates several Coalition security protocols." "With all due respect," Sarah replied, choosing her words carefully, "Earth is not subject to Coalition protocols. We're an independent species." A harsh laugh echoed through the speakers. "Independent? Admiral, your species still fights among itself over resources and ideology. You're nowhere near ready for quantum technology. The drive must be surrendered to Coalition custody within 48 hours. And if we refuse, then we will have no choice but to contain the threat. Your automated defense satellites have already been disabled. This is not a negotiation, Admiral Chen. It is mercy." The communication cut off. Sarah immediately opened a secured channel to Earth's Combined Defense Council. "Madam President, we have a situation." "We heard everything, Admiral." President Rivera's voice was grim. "Initial analysis. They knew about the quantum drive, which means they've infiltrated our highest security facilities. They disabled our defensive grid without effort. But," she paused, considering, "they're afraid. Afraid of us. They're trying to project strength, but think about it. Why send such a massive fleet just to collect one prototype drive? Why not simply steal it if they're so advanced? They're terrified of what we might do with this technology. Your recommendation." Sarah looked at the quantum display again, studying the Coalition vessel's energy signatures. Something about their patterns seemed familiar. "Give me 48 hours, Madam President. I have a theory about their quantum technology. And if I'm right, they may have just made a terrible mistake in revealing themselves." "Explain." "Their quantum signatures. They're using a base 12 computational model. We abandoned that approach 6 months ago, when Dr. Patel proved it was fundamentally flawed. Their technology is more advanced than ours, but it's built on outdated theoretical frameworks. You think we can exploit that?" "I think." Sarah smiled grimly. "I think they're about to learn why you don't threaten a species that redefines quantum physics every few months. Request permission to implement Emergency Protocol Prometheus." There was a long pause. Emergency Protocol Prometheus was considered a last resort, a desperate gamble that could either save Earth or tear reality apart. "Permission granted, Admiral Chen. God help us all." Sarah turned to her crew, noting the determination in their eyes. They'd heard everything, and they were ready. Commander Rodriguez, begin quantum core initialization. Dr. Patel, I need you to modify the drive's resonance frequency to match the Coalition's signature. Lieutenant Walsh, prepare to broadcast our surrender. Our surrender? Rodriguez asked, confused. Of course, Sarah replied, allowing herself a small smile. We're just a primitive species after all. How could we possibly understand that quantum signatures can be used for more than just propulsion? As her crew rushed to comply, Sarah stared out at the Coalition ships looming in the distance. They thought humanity wasn't ready for quantum technology. They were about to discover just how wrong they were. First contact had arrived with threats and ultimatums. But if there's one thing humans excel at, it's turning apparent weaknesses into devastating strengths. The real question wasn't whether Earth would survive. It was whether the Coalition was prepared for what humanity would do with those 48 hours. The game was on. Dr. Maya Patil hunched over her quantum terminal aboard the Artemis, dark circles under her eyes betraying hours of continuous work. The holographic display before her showed a complex web of intersecting energy patterns. The Coalition fleet's quantum signature mapped in excruciating detail. Tell me you have good news, Admiral Chen said, floating into the laboratory module. Better than good, Maya replied, manipulating the display. Look at this. Their quantum architecture, it's beautiful, but it's fundamentally limited. They're still treating quantum states as discrete values. In English, Doctor. They're using quantum mechanics like digital computing. Ones and zeros, just with more states. But that's not how quantum reality actually works. Maya's eyes lit up with the fervor of scientific discovery. We cracked this months ago. Quantum states aren't just values. They're possibilities, probabilities, dreams. Sarah studied the display. And this helps us how. Their ships are essentially running on quantum computers. Advanced ones, yes, but still based on observation and collapse. We're not going to fight their ships, Admiral. We're going to convince reality itself that their ships cannot exist. A slow smile spread across Sarah's face. That's why they're so afraid of us. They've spent millennia perfecting their quantum technology, while we've been reconceptualizing what quantum physics actually means. Maya finished. But there's a catch. The math suggests we'll only get one shot at this. If it fails, then Earth falls, Sarah concluded grimly. How long do you need? 12 hours to reconfigure the drive. Another 6 to sync it with our remaining defense platforms. But Admiral, Maya hesitated. This goes against everything we thought we knew about physics. The chances of it working are better than our chances against their fleet, Sarah finished. Do it. As Maya returned to work, Sarah's communicator chimed. Admiral, secure transmission from Washington, Lieutenant Walsh announced. President Rivera's hologram appeared in Sarah's office moments later. Status report. We have a plan, Sarah began, but it's risky. Dr. Patel believes we can use our quantum drive to essentially convince the universe that the Coalition ships are impossibilities. And this will work. Honestly, we don't know, but our preliminary simulations suggest their entire quantum framework is vulnerable. They've built an empire on flawed assumptions about how reality works. The president was silent for a long moment. The Security Council is divided. China and Russia are pushing for immediate surrender. The EU wants to try diplomacy. And you. I just finished reviewing files from our deep space listening posts. The Coalition has done this before, dozens of times. Every emerging civilization that develops quantum technology either surrenders or disappears. We're not dealing with peacekeepers, Admiral. We're dealing with empire builders who eliminate potential rivals. Sarah's jaw tightened. Then surrender isn't an option. No, it's not. But if this fails, the president let the thought hang. If this fails, humanity dies fighting rather than living as slaves. Sarah's voice was steel. But it won't fail. The Coalition made one critical mistake. Oh, they gave us time to think. And humans, We do our best work under pressure. The president nodded. You have full authorization. All remaining military assets are at your disposal. Godspeed, Admiral. As the hologram faded, Sarah turned to the window, watching Earth rotate slowly below. Somewhere up there, the Coalition fleet waited, probably congratulating themselves on their merciful handling of yet another primitive species. They had no idea what was coming. Commander Rodriguez floated into the office. Admiral, you need to see this. We're picking up transmissions between Coalition ships. Dr. Patel's quantum tap is working. The hologram showed Coalition commanders discussing humanity's apparent preparations for surrender. Their tone was smugly superior, convinced of their technological dominance. They're not even considering we might have a countermove, Rodriguez observed. Pride, Sarah replied. The most dangerous weakness of any advanced civilization. They've been the strongest for so long, they've forgotten how to recognize true threats. She turned to her commander. Status of Emergency Protocol Prometheus. All remaining defense platforms are being retrofitted with quantum resonators. The Chinese and Indian space forces have pledged their support. Even the Russians are quietly repositioning their assets. And the quantum core. Dr. Patel says it's responding better than expected. Whatever she's doing up there, it's working. The core's probability field is expanding geometrically. Sarah nodded. Good. Keep monitoring Coalition communications. The moment they realize something's wrong, we'll have to move fast. You really think this will work? Rodriguez asked quietly. I think, Sarah replied, that the Coalition is about to learn a very important lesson about humanity. We don't just use technology, we understand it. And understanding, that's more powerful than any weapon they possess. As if to emphasize her point, a sudden tremor ran through the station. In the laboratory, Dr. Patel's voice came over the comm. Admiral, the quantum core, it's achieving resonance far faster than we predicted. The probability field, it's becoming self-sustaining. Sarah smiled grimly. Sometimes the best defense wasn't superior firepower or advanced shields. Sometimes the best defense was showing your enemy that their fundamental understanding of reality itself was flawed. The next 24 hours would determine not just Earth's fate, but the future of quantum physics itself. And Sarah had a feeling the Coalition wasn't going to like the outcome. Not one bit. High Commander Vexthor stood on the bridge of the Coalition flagship Eternal Dominion, his scaled fingers drumming against the quantum display. The humans' response to his ultimatum had been troubling. They're complying too easily, he muttered, studying the data streams. Earth's governments had announced their surrender within hours. Their military vessels were standing down. Even their primitive quantum drive was being prepared for transfer. Perhaps they simply recognize our superiority, Sub-Commander Nix offered. It wouldn't be the first species to choose wisdom over pride. No. Vexthor's secondary eyes narrowed. Something's wrong. Their quantum signatures are shifting. Natural variance, Nix dismissed. Their technology is crude. Is it? Vexthor pulled up archive data. Look at their development curve. 6 months ago, they were struggling with basic quantum field manipulation. Now they're capable of detecting our cloaked approach. That's not natural progression. What are you suggesting? Run a deep scan of their orbital station. Focus on probability patterns. As Nix complied, aboard the Artemis, Dr. Patel's eyes widened. Admiral, they're probing us. Sarah Chen remained calm. Expected. Maintain the deception protocol. Let them see exactly what they expect to see. Maya's fingers danced across her console, adjusting quantum frequencies with practiced ease, projecting standard quantum signatures, adding artificial instabilities. Done. As far as their sensors can tell, we're just scared primitives playing with forces we barely understand. On the Eternal Dominion, Nix frowned at his readings. The human's quantum core is highly unstable. They're lucky it hasn't collapsed and taken their station with it. But Vexthor wasn't convinced. Something about the human's energy patterns nagged at his centuries of experience. They were too perfect, too precisely aligned with coalition models of primitive quantum development. Launch probe drones, he ordered suddenly. Full spectrum analysis of their solar system. Sir, Nix questioned. The humans are complying. Why waste resources? Because in 9,000 years of enforcing coalition law, I've never seen a species surrender this quickly. Vexthor's primary heart quickened. And I've never seen one continue quantum research after being ordered to stop. The drones launched, their sophisticated sensors reaching out across space. At first, they detected nothing unusual, just the expected signs of a young civilization's early steps into quantum science. Then one of the drones exploded. Report, Vexthor demanded. Unknown cause, Nix replied, puzzled. The drone's quantum matrix simply ceased to exist, as if reality itself rejected it. Sarah Chen's voice came over the Coalition's command channel. Is something wrong, High Commander? We're still preparing the drive for transfer, but if you've detected any problems. No problems, Admiral, Vexthor replied smoothly, even as his tactical display showed 2 more drones vanishing. Merely standard verification procedures. After ending the transmission, he turned to his science officer. Analysis. Impossible to be certain, but the officer hesitated. The probability patterns around Earth aren't behaving according to standard quantum models. It's as if they're being rewritten. Rewritten? Nix scoffed. Quantum mechanics are universal constants. They can't be rewritten. Unless, Vexthor said slowly, someone discovered how to manipulate the underlying fabric of reality itself. His scales paled. Get me the Coalition archive. I need everything we have on human theoretical physics. As his crew scrambled to comply, Sarah Chen watched through quantum-tapped sensors. They're finally starting to catch on, she noted. Too late, Maya replied, her hand steady on her console despite her exhaustion. The probability field has reached critical mass. Even if they realize what we're doing now, they can't stop it. How long? 3 hours until full coverage, once the field engulfs their fleet. Maya smiled. Let's just say their quantum-based technology will find this region of space very inhospitable. Sarah nodded, then addressed her crew. This is it, people. The moment they figure it out, they'll attack. We need to hold them off just long enough for Dr. Patel's probability field to mature. And if they break through our defenses before then? Rodriguez asked. They won't, Sarah replied with quiet confidence. Because we're about to show them humanity's greatest strength. She paused. We don't just adapt to new ideas, we improve them. They've spent millennia using quantum mechanics. We've spent decades understanding them. On the Eternal Dominion, Vexthor read the archived physics papers with growing horror. The humans hadn't just grasped quantum mechanics, they'd transcended them. Their theoretical models suggested possibilities the Coalition had never imagined. All ships, battle stations, he ordered. The humans aren't surrendering. They're... Before he could finish, reality itself seemed to shudder. Across his fleet, quantum systems began failing as local space rejected their very existence. The trap was sprung. Now came the hard part, surviving what happened next. Sarah Chen watched the Coalition fleet's quantum signatures fluctuate wildly. All hands, battle stations. Dr. Patel, initiate final phase. Let's show the Coalition why you don't give humans time to think. The real battle for Earth was about to begin. 1 month after the Battle of Earth, Admiral Sarah Chen stood before the Galactic Coalition's High Council on their capital world of Centauri Prime. The vast chamber, with its crystalline architecture and quantum-enhanced displays, would have been intimidating a month ago. Now it was just another example of technology in need of an upgrade. You understand why we're concerned, High Counselor Zarevek stated, her luminescent form floating above the council podium. In 1 day, your species completely rewrote our understanding of quantum physics. Technology that took us millennia to perfect was rendered obsolete in hours. and then improved beyond our wildest dreams, former High Commander Vex Thor added. After the battle, he'd become humanity's strongest advocate in coalition space. The humans didn't just defeat us, they advanced us. Sarah nodded, because that's what humans do. We don't just use technology. We question it, improve it, reimagine it. Your civilization spent 9,000 years building on the same foundation. We looked at that foundation and asked, what if there's a better way? Dr. Maya Patel, standing beside Sarah, activated a holographic display. Your quantum technology was based on controlling reality. Ours is based on understanding it. The difference is fundamental. The display showed the evolution of human quantum physics, from early theoretical work to their revolutionary breakthrough. The Council watched in silence as humanity's unique approach became clear. But why? Another counselor demanded. Why share this knowledge with us after we threatened your world? You could have used this advantage to dominate the galaxy. Sarah smiled. Because that's not who we are. Humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology or our determination. It's our desire to understand and share knowledge. Yes, you threatened us. Yes, we defended ourselves. But the moment we had the upper hand, what did we do? You taught us, Vex Thor answered quietly. You could have destroyed our ships. Instead, you upgraded them. Precisely, Maya agreed. Because every civilization has something to teach and something to learn. Your coalition maintained peace through force. We propose maintaining progress through understanding. The council chamber erupted in discussion. Sarah watched as species that had lived under coalition doctrine for millennia grappled with new possibilities. Finally, Zaravek raised her hand for silence. What exactly are you proposing, Admiral Chen? A new era of galactic cooperation. Earth will share its quantum understanding freely, helping upgrade coalition technology. In return, we ask for full membership in the coalition, not as subjects, but as equals. And if we refuse, Sarah's expression hardened slightly. Then we'll share our knowledge anyway. You can't put this genie back in the bottle, counselor. The only question is whether you want to be part of the future or cling to the past. The council chamber was silent for a long moment. Then Vex Thor stood. I support this proposal. I've seen firsthand what humans can do. Their understanding of quantum physics may have surpassed ours, but their understanding of cooperation, of progress through peaceful exchange, that's what makes them truly advanced. One by one, council members began to signal their agreement. The prospect of improved technology, freely shared, was too tempting to resist. As the final votes were tallied, Sarah turned to Maya. Think they'll ever understand what really happened? Maya smiled. That our superior understanding of quantum physics was really just our willingness to admit we might be wrong, to question everything we thought we knew. She shook her head. Maybe someday. The vote is complete, Zaravek announced. Earth is hereby granted full coalition membership, with special status as the Center for Quantum Physics Research and Education. After the ceremony, Vex Thor approached Sarah privately. You know, when we first detected your quantum drive tests, we thought we were protecting the galaxy from dangerous primitives. Instead, you protected the galaxy from us. From our complacency, our arrogance. 9,000 years of thinking, we knew everything. He laughed softly. It took a primitive species to show us how much we had left to learn. Sarah watched as coalition scientists eagerly gathered around Dr. Patel, asking questions about human quantum theory. That's the real revelation, isn't it? True advancement doesn't come from having all the answers. It comes from never stopping asking questions. Above them, through the chamber's transparent ceiling, the stars shone brightly. Somewhere out there, other civilizations were making their first steps into quantum physics. But thanks to humanity's intervention, they wouldn't face threats and ultimatums. Instead, they'd find teachers ready to share understanding with anyone willing to learn. The age of human quantum physics had begun. But more importantly, the age of galactic cooperation had arrived. And it all started because one species dared to ask, what if there's a better way?